Hi, everyone, and welcome to our Mapp Cloud Full Update webinar 2020. I'm just going to wait a few more minutes for people to join, and then we will start. Thank you. Okay, thanks for waiting, everyone. I think we're good to go. We're very pleased to have you all today, as we have some very exciting things to share with you. But before we start, I'd like to introduce you the team that will present this webinar. I'm Camille Deschamps, Product Marketing Manager, and today I'm joined by my three colleagues that you may be familiar with from the past release webinars: Stefan Piakowski, Senior Product Manager, Ziad Tula, Senior Tech Product Manager, and Ricardas Montvilla, our Senior Director of the Global Strategy here at Mapp. I just want to let you know that this session will be recorded, and you will receive the link of the replay in the follow-up email. And finally, I want to inform you that all the webinar attendees are muted, so feel free to ask any question or share your comments in the question box that you have in your control panel. So now let's get started. As some of you may know, we've launched some great improvements in the last summer release. Among many others, we had the geofencing feature from mobile push. Yes, sorry. That helps you to engage with your customers at the right place, but also the possibility to A/B test your marketing scenarios in your Mapp Engage whiteboard. During this same summer update, we also announced many new integrations, including Amazon DSP from Mapp Acquire, as well as the Amazon S3 and Google Cloud Storage from Mapp Engage. Another really exciting feature was developed, which is the new connector with the Segment CDP that allows you to exchange user profiles and other data between Mapp Cloud and segment.com. And last but not least, we launched a new smart alert library in Mapp Intelligence that notifies you whenever there is an anomaly detected in your data. I really hope that you're using one or many, actually, of them already. And if you're interested to know more about these features, please reach out to your account manager or customer success manager to get more details. But now let me get back to the reason why we are all here today: the Mapp Cloud Full Update and our new 18 new features. You might have already seen them on our for release page that is live on mapp.com. And if not, I really invite you to visit it. So now, why did we develop these 18 new features? Most of them actually are the result from the combination of our customer needs and the latest trends in the market. They will all provide you with even greater ability to use Mapp Cloud and its module effectively, and specifically focuses on customer intelligence, marketing analytics, personalization, and automation from one single source. This release also brings a long-awaited innovation for email marketing with the AMPS technology. And it's actually quite funny because it's a funny timing because email will be celebrating its 50th birthday next year. So now let me hand it over to Rick and Z, who will introduce you AMP for email. I wish you all a great webinar, and please, once again, feel free to ask any question to our team. We will answer them along the webinar and at the end of it. Thank you.
Thanks, Camille. Hopefully most of you have already seen and read about AMP and what it does. And perhaps a couple of you have decided to wait until the AMP email is adopted by more email clients. So far, it's supported by Gmail, Yahoo, and Mail.ru. And you might be wondering, well, perhaps I should wait until there's a better adoption. However, I would argue that now is probably one of the best times for you to start using it, because after all, this holiday season and this upcoming months are going to be critically important for the success of your business. And I believe that AMP can produce a significant uplift in engagement, even if it's just for the Gmail users. which is about 43% of the entire kind of email marketing population. And I highly encourage that you guys do selection counts to see how many Gmail users there are in your database, because even small uplifts can provide a significant kind of improvement. There's been a number of kind of research done into this topic already, and some of the benefits that you will see through AMP is faster load time for emails. You will get higher conversion rates and a boost in sales. In fact, for one of the customers that they're already using AMP, and they're specifically using it for product reviews, and they've seen an uplift in three times the uplift in goal completions, in people submitting the product recommendations and the product reviews based on those emails. And also they're getting up to 6 times more click-throughs from those emails into the website. So I would argue, if you're looking for quick improvements for your holiday season, AMP is probably one of the easiest way to get noticed, particularly because not many brands are using it just yet. So it's a really great way of standing out in the inboxes. So in case you don't really know about what AMP actually is, well, AMP is an entirely different way of serving content within the email messages. Previously, emails were quite static in their nature. So you could render, or the most kind of in the most extreme cases, you could render content at the point of email open, maybe change an image. With AMP, you can actually change so much more, right? So customers can interact with an email similarly like they would interact with a basic microsite for doing things like searching for products, perhaps things like endless aisle experiences in emails, filling in review forms, just providing more details, or perhaps even adding products to their wish list, right? So there's so many different experiences that you can create for customers. And for those customers that can't receive AMP emails yet, there's also a graceful fallback capability that would default back to HTML email. So I highly encourage that you guys start testing these capabilities out now as they're available in Mapp Engage. And next, I would like to hand you over to Ziad, who's going to walk us through how you actually take advantage of AMP email.
Thanks, Rick. Hi, everyone. As just mentioned by Rick, the customer can do a lot from within his inbox itself through these new interactive use cases. These include the new AMP form component, which allows you to have in-email surveys to collect feedback from your customers. And the AMP carousel component allows you to have a visual element instead of the old simple list of links. Now, let's have a look how this looks like in the Mapp Cloud. You can compose your AMP emails in Mapp Engage by heading to Messages, AMP Email. The live preview, as you can see, allows you to easily troubleshoot your email as you're coding it. Once you have done all of your pre-flight checks, as shown on the next slide, you send this out, and now you're going to see an interactive example of what this could look like. Yeah, I like these headphones. And you can potentially search for another product. And that brings us then now to the prerequisites. The most important that you need to bear in mind is that you need to register for AMP email with Google. Besides that, to enable and use the feature, pretty simple, just get in touch with your account or customer success manager, and they will guide you through the process. And we've gone over how the creation is. So now I'm going to hand you back to Rick for the unified customer profile.
Thanks, Z. So the unified customer profile, and I know many of you have already had a chance to experience it, it's just a visualization of all these additional kind of profile attributes that we create automatically in the system against every single contact. So for example, scoring the total spend, number of orders, average order value, or even the average discount rate that each customer makes. So this is just a visualization of what that looks like against each individual customer. But if you look underneath, what's happening is within Mapp, we're ingesting the various data sources, things like the customer behavior data on site, in store, on a call center. We also capture automatically this multi-channel activity, all the feedback data from the campaigns that we generate, and also all this rich profile data that perhaps either you're pushing into Mapp, or again, we're capturing it through the kind of on-site experiences or through profile update pages. And all of this data enriches the unified customer profile. If you think about the way Mapp Cloud can now enrich the customer profile above and beyond of what you might be used to. So in the past, you used to give us this customer profile data, maybe the mobile numbers and email addresses. And in some cases, you would also provide us with the transactions. But what Mapp can do as well now, we can capture additional data. So we can capture the on-site behavior data in real time, not only looking at things like page interactions and page impressions, but literally any activity that customer makes on site can be turned into an event that you can act upon in real time immediately. Also, all the app events and app behavior is being captured. The campaign feedback from the campaigns that you're sending, including the ad impressions or ad clicks via paid media channels. And you can see this transaction box is overlapping the kind of the two different ways in which you capture data. And that's because whilst you can provide us the transactions, we also have native ways of capturing transactions on site in real time using Mapp tags. Then we can also enrich this data. So we are doing profile scoring, as you've just seen previously, unified customer profile. So we can score customers based on their loyalty and transactions and the average discount value on which they transacted. We also look at RFM models based on their engagement, not only within the channels that you're sending, but also within the on-site properties. We also enrich customer segments with things like above and beyond the typical demographic segmentation. So we look at things like individual customer segment within the buying funnel, and also the customer engagement data across the variety of channels that we looked at previously. And then above and beyond that, we're also using AI to predict additional things about the customer behavior. So things like likelihood to spend within the next 30 days, but also the likelihood to spend within this particular session, right? So if we're talking about improving the experiences on site in real time, now we're also able to predict the likelihood of someone to convert or to churn whilst the customer is still within the session. Also prediction of when is the best time to engage the customer, because we have so much data about the way customers interact across email, push, on site. We're able to create these accurate predictions about what is the best time to engage a customer. And also this quarter, we are launching the best channel prediction as well, so that if you're not entirely sure whether the best channel to engage this customer with is email or mobile push, in-app or SMS, we can decide that for you, right? Using the AI predictions and also the product recommendations. So not only we can score the customer profile, we can also start scoring the customer based on what are they most likely to buy in the future. So I'd like to describe kind of a Mapp Cloud as almost this first-party data tree where you give us the acorn, right? You give us the profile data, you give us the transactions, you deploy the tag, but we're gonna grow this into a huge kind of a first-party data tree, and doing it with a very high degree of accuracy, and also in a GDPR compliant way without using any third-party data. And if you're thinking, well, I'm aware of those things, I might have seen already some of the demos of how Mapp does it, but perhaps it's the ability to ingest data into Mapp is something that's holding you back. Well, you don't have to worry about that no more, because we have 7 different ways of getting this real-time or batch customer data into Mapp customer profile. Anything from automated imports, manual imports, various ways of doing APIs, even sending a message via API can update the transactional tables. We also have Mapp Connect that is able to reach out to Segment, Salesforce, Magento, or Zapier, whatever other system you might want to connect Mapp to. And also for those customers that are using Mapp Intelligence, we also have the segment exchange. So any segment data they use for your analytics and customer insights can also be streamed back into Mapp. And more recently, we've also expanded the ability to capture the real-time on-site data using the Mapp Acquire visual tagger, which we'll talk about shortly. And my main point I'm trying to say here is that, with this little amount of data that you have to provide to Mapp, there's so much value that we can give you in return, and there is no reason why you should not be ingesting this data into Mapp when there's so many different ways of getting it easier from A to B. So Z, why don't you tell us more about what customers can do using the unified data in Mapp?
For sure, Rick. I mean, that was already a lot to ingest for the audience. I'm pretty sure of that. But those are, as Rick said, very, very valuable metrics for you. However, while I do agree that displaying the purchase and engagement insights is really good in itself, the most value comes from being able to segment on those insights. And as you will see on this slide and on the next one, we've therefore added the possibility for you to leverage these insights in the segmentation builder. For example, you can segment on loyalty status or customer lifecycle value, just to name a few. Yeah. So on the next slide for the prerequisites, this is going to be a feature that will be available by default for all customers. But in terms of setup, please work with your account or customer success manager to set up the data feeds from your other marketing applications to the transactions table in Mapp Cloud. And now Rick is going to tell you a little bit more about price drop and back in stock.
Thanks, Z. So we're always looking for ways to make these typical e-commerce and retail tactics a lot easier for customers to implement. And whilst previously most of the whiteboard events were triggered based on some sort of change to a customer profile or some sort of change to a transactions table or any other tables, right now we've launched a new ability to actually trigger these automated workflows based on changes to the product catalog. So if you think about scenarios where, let's say, a customer has perhaps added a product to a wish list or added a product to a cart, and the product has dropped in price by 20%, that'd be a great trigger for the customer to actually re-engage, because if they've already shown interest in that product at the full price, they're very, very likely to transact on the product when it drops even further. And you're able to configure this to a very granular degree, right? So these are not just kind of a generic triggers when a product kind of a price drops by 90 cents. You can configure it to the point where you can specify exactly what percentage point the product has to drop for this to be significant enough for you to trigger this whiteboard flow. And in fact, you can configure multiple triggers on the product catalog table that would then re-engage the customers. And this is what I was saying previously, right? So we are able to create these triggers. And we have this ability to upload the product catalog and synchronize the product catalog with Mapp Cloud in real time. Whilst we already had this ability, this is more of a predefined structure for product catalog for us to be able to trigger these very specific tactics and use cases to kick off the whiteboard flow. And also, there's some additional tables that you can now take advantage of, things like the abandoned cart table and wish list. Again, all those things were already possible in Mapp. You could have created any table you wanted, but we have pre-created those tables to facilitate a quicker creation of those specific use cases, like back in stock and price drop campaigns in real time. So Z, why don't you walk us through it?
Yes, let me do that, Rick. Within the automation whiteboard in Mapp Cloud, you can define activities based on the changes in the product catalog. For example, when the price decreases, send an email to the customer notifying him of the price drop. As you will see on the next slide, you can also do the same for back in stock emails and low in stock emails to notify your customers at the right step in the customer journey. In terms of prerequisites, the messages here that you want to actually communicate to your customers need to first be composed and prepared already within Mapp Cloud. In addition to that, the data feeds to the product catalog, abandoned cart, and wishlist tables need to be set up. As mentioned previously, if you need more details on that, please get in touch with your account manager, and they will guide you through the process. And now back to you, Rick, for the next.
Thanks, Z. So with Mapp Acquire, you were already able to capture the real-time web behavior data and create events that were triggered as soon as that action happened on the website. Unlike in many other platforms where you're only capturing a predefined action like abandoned browse, abandoned basket, or a particular product page interaction, and the data might be available after a couple of hours. Here, you're pretty much able to configure any type of event, whether it's people interacting with the sort filters or searching for things. That data can be made available in real time for you to trigger a workflow within Mapp. What we've done is we've enhanced this functionality even further, and we deployed the visual kind of a data collection tagger so that you're actually able to create these events without having to know any technical knowledge whatsoever. As a first step, you simply have to deploy the Mapp Acquire tag on your website, and then you're able to use this visual interface to specify where people need to click or what people need to interact with for us to trigger off these events in Mapp Engage. And that could do things like add new things or add new transactions to the transactions table. That could add customer data to the abandoned cart table or wish list, or remove items from the cart. That could also automatically trigger the contact registration workflow. So all these things are possible. And it was really important for us to create this no-code tracking solution because, as I was previously showing you, we already had so many different ways of getting data into Mapp, but quite often, we have come across where customers are still struggling with streaming this data into Mapp for a variety of reasons. Maybe in some cases, it takes too long to get the e-commerce team or the dev team to actually tag up the website in the right way. So you don't have to worry about that anymore. All you have to do is deploy the tag, and this will allow you to kind of accelerate creation of any new workflows based on on-site events. It will save time for you not having to engage other technical teams to create your kind of a marketing campaigns. And it's very, very easy to set up. So you use this visual interface to create an event, and you start creating the workflow in Mapp Engage. And now you're able to do this whole end-to-end thing just in a couple of minutes. So you select, you collect, you visualize, and then you activate this data in real time across whatever channel you would like to activate it via. Z, why don't you tell us how we go about setting it up?
Yeah, for sure, Rick. I mean, this one is the focus on this new improvement has been the user experience. So setting this up is quite super easy. You can create a new tracking pixel and configure it on your website from within Mapp Acquire itself for specific events and page elements. It's literally point and click. As you will see on the next slide, with the help of our Mapp Acquire Chrome plugin, you can then enter the page address and it will render in the browser. That allows you to tag the different elements that you want tracked. And as you can see on the next slide, it's, again, as I said, all point and click from this one. In terms of prerequisites, as this is enabled by default for all Mapp Acquire accounts, there's not much, but you do need to download the Mapp Acquire Chrome browser plugin. That brings us now to two quick polls that we have for you. You'll have 30 seconds for each. And we're going to start with the first one. How likely would you use AMP for email to actually engage your audience? 30 seconds, choose an option, and then we can move to the second poll. Yeah, we're now back to the second one. Do you require in-house data team support to collect on-site events? Again, you have 30 seconds. And now I guess Rick and Stefan will tell you about smart notifications.
Thanks, E. So smart notifications is an additional enhancement as part of smart alerts within Mapp Intelligence. And the reason we felt it was so important to develop this is because we recognize that sometimes customer insights and analytics, they can be hard, right? There's many dashboards, many insights, and it can be quite time consuming to discover and to find the right insight. So what we've done here is we're basically allowing you to configure things that matter the most to you based on a variety of metrics and KPIs. And then at regular intervals, we'll be sending you these notifications to tell you that a particular thing has happened around the metric that you're tracking. And not only we're going to notify that something happened with the data, we're also going to give you some dashboards, some insights of why this thing has occurred. We'll try to explain to you in a human language, in a marketing-friendly language, kind of why this event has occurred, and also provide some recommendations of what you can do to take advantage of this. And I think this is particularly exciting because if you kind of tuned in into our previous strategy sessions where we talked about, you know, what it is that we want to deliver, and what we want to deliver is we want to put the marketer behind the steering wheel. You know, we don't believe that AI is going to take away marketing jobs. We believe that AI, specifically for marketing, should support the marketer and fuel kind of every activity they do with insights and recommendations of how they can improve the campaigns they're already running. And the reason we do this is because there is significant wastage within marketing. There's been a study done to say that 58% of companies base at least half of their business decisions based on gut feel or intuition instead of data. And off the back of that, there's another statistic based on Rakuten, kind of Rakuten marketing study of 1,000 marketing execs, where they found that 26% of marketing budget is wasted on wrong channels and strategies. And to no surprise, right? The insights, analytics can be quite hard. And we're trying to kind of give you those insights in a human understandable language so you can act upon it immediately. So Stefan, why don't you tell us more about how this actually works?
Thanks, Rick. Absolutely. So what are smart notifications? Looking a bit more into detail. So we provide smart notifications for the marketing and campaign context. These notifications are generated by analyzing 3 key metrics, which are bounce rate, conversion rate, and revenue per conversion, combined with geographical, technological, and time dimensions. These dimensions for geography are country, region, city. For technology, it is operating system, device class, and browser. And for time, it is weekdays, hours, and hour of the weekday. We detect noteworthy combinations and provide the detected insight along with a human readable message. In fact, that means you do not have to read a whole lot of reports by yourself anymore to analyze how a certain marketing channel or sub-channel has performed towards geographical, technology, or time dimensions. And also, you don't have to compare your findings to each other to identify which is the current most, let's say, profitable channel. Every notification we provide consists of an insight, a message, and a recommendation. As an example, imagine your campaign tree. You might have display ads grouped in the main campaign category display, and below you have grouped all your different display networks. We analyze the channel display and every group in it, together with the metrics and dimensions above to find insights. Let's assume Rubicon is one of your display networks. A typical notification could look like this. The headline will provide the insight, which will be Rubicon high revenue per conversion for visits of Berlin. And the human readable message below would state that visits from Berlin for the display network Rubicon produced 22% more revenue per conversion than the average revenue per conversion in any of the other campaigns. Taking into account that these are 2,000 visits, for example, 10% of your whole visits, those produced 40% of the entire revenue within the last 7 days. So this is a huge amount, and the recommended action in this notification would be to target more visitors for this region for this display network, for example, by setting higher bids on that target group. Let's have a look how to configure this. The smart notifications are part of the smart alerts. You will find them therefore in the screen of the smart alerts, and you can configure them or activate them by clicking on smart notifications in the left menu. For each of your hierarchical campaign categories of your campaign tree, you are able to activate the smart notifications. Prerequisite-wise, there's not so much. The smart notifications, as said, are part of the smart alerts, and smart alerts are a default feature, so they are available in all Mapp Intelligence accounts. For the prediction-based notifications, the prediction feature must be activated. Questioning or asking who can activate these notifications, it is linked to the smart alerts, so every admin or user which have the right to for smart alerts can activate and manage the smart notifications as well. In case you have questions, your success manager or account manager will be happy to assist.
Excellent. Thanks, Stefan. So one of the other key features that we'll discuss today is cookieless tracking. Now, the cookieless tracking is no particular news within Mapp. Privacy has always been at the core of what we do, and we always had the capabilities to allow you to engage with customers in a GDPR compliant way. And we already had multiple ways to help you and your customers to control the privacy settings. For example, allowing customers to block all cookies to the point where we can't track anything. Also, allowing your customers to opt in into or opt out of the usage of the on-site tracking data for marketing communications. That always has been an option. And obviously the option of just tracking everything that customers interact with, that was always available. The new cookieless tracking feature allows you to create one more level in between, by which customers can or you're able to configure the pixel to suppress the user identifiable cookies and parameters. So this additional feature will give your individual customers the assurance that you'll not be using their data for any other purposes, but just analytics and just the insights that you need to do your business better without violating their individual user privacy. And you can still track things like the traffic analysis, the page and product performance, the marketing referrer, and technical analysis. You can also still do attribution analysis as long as you're using last click, and even the path analysis of how customers interact across multiple pages, as long as it is done within the single session. With this feature enabled, what you can't do is match the same customer across multiple sessions, or you also can't match this customer across multiple devices, unless the customer has explicitly given you some sort of identifier within the session and they were happy for you to do so. So Stefan, why don't you tell us more about this and how you go about configuring this in Mapp Intelligence?
Yeah, in Mapp Intelligence, you have basically two options depending on the integration you did. You could have integrated Mapp Intelligence by tag integration, so you have an option there, or directly in the pixel configuration on your website. First of all, you can enable the feature itself. And secondly, you have to identify, or you have to determine whether it should be implemented as opt-in or opt-out solution. The difference is simple. If you implement it as opt-in solution, the user have to accept these cookies actively And with the opt-out solution, he can decline the usage. The difference is on the first page call whether the cookie is set or not, and will be deleted afterwards with the opt-out solution. In addition, you can specify parameters as URM categories, or let's say customer IDs, which should not be sent unless the user have given their consent to it. Prerequisite-wise, there's basically nothing. It is available for for intelligence customers using Pixel 4, tag integration, and smart alerts. And feel free to contact your success and account manager to find the best setup for you, also when it comes to talking about consent management. Yes, then I'm also happy to announce some intelligence features. Now we are coming to this smaller but not less relevant features from Mapp Intelligence tracking. We have within the summer release already announced the intelligence plugin for Shopware. This plugin is now available from within Shopware itself and can be selected there. Previously, it was available in GitHub and could be integrated as custom plugin. For data streams is probably a known product to you. It gives you the ability to export processed raw data in real time and use it in any third-party solution. Currently, the available format is JSON, and with this release, Avro is added as a format. Why Avro? Avro is a very common format and supported by Tableau, Power BI, and other solutions. We know that connecting two systems is always a difficult thing, since a lot of technology involved. That's why we did not stop by just providing the new format. We also provide detailed integration guidelines for Tableau and Power BI to assist you as much as we can to ease the process of connecting Mapp Intelligence with one of those programs. It contains detailed description of the technology, which we recommend, and how to set it up. You can find the guidelines in our documentation portal. In terms of data collection, we have news as well. In the summer release, we published the PHP library for server-side tracking. Now it is available for Java as well. Let me quickly recap why you might consider to use server-side tracking. There are pros and cons to it. On the pro side, it eliminates tracking blocker issues, and it is very useful in the context of sensitive websites, such as health and bank institutes. With server-to-server or server-side tracking, requests are sent by the web server instead of the browser. The tracking request will be sent from the web server hosting the website the moment the requested content is delivered, let's say a page. Since the browser is out of the game here, the disadvantage of using server-side tracking is that you are not longer able to track any events, clicks, scrolling depths, or something like that, so every activity that happens in the browser. Your account manager will be very helpful to identify the best setup for your website. Last but not least, within the context of Mapp Intelligence, I would like to take the chance to announce two more features which will be available as of next week, 12th November. The first is about access rights of Mapp Intelligence. We announced that feature already in one of our previous releases and used the time until now for extensive testing with early adopters. Before, only the visibility of predefined analysis could be restricted, but not the usage of dimensions and metrics itself. For example, you could hide the product analysis, but the user will still be able to use the product-related dimensions and metrics. Now it is possible to restrict the usage of dimensions and metrics in the user management. These new permissions are part of the role configuration. As a note, for existing roles, there is no immediate action needed. All existing roles will have access to all dimensions and metrics as it is now. The second thing is about the new file names for export. The names of exported files will become more relevant as of next week. Instead of an internal ID, which was used in the file name, the report or analysis name and the timestamp of when the file was generated is used now. This will help you to identify the export you are searching for in its most up-to-date version among all your downloaded files. As a side note, a customization of file names is planned as well for a later release. And now I'm handing back over to Z to tell us more about the other exciting enhancement we have prepared for you.
Thanks, Stefan. All right, let's start with the segmentation improvements. We continue to add more segmentation criteria to the segmentation builder. And among the new ones available, we have push notification delivered and push notification reaction. There are also some new criteria available in the segmentation builder based on new intelligent engagement metrics like best send out time or best send out date. Moving on to this new improvement in acquire. Marketers who actually want to use their first-party domain to track web events and not be blocked by new browser versions can easily do so by defining those within Acquire Now. In Engage, marketers are now able to filter existing message statistics overview by message category in addition to tags, which was already possible before. The drag and drop content builder for emails has also had a bit of a tune-up. In addition to being able to use custom attributes and segments as block conditions, it is now also possible to use member attributes. On another note, we have made it easier for those of you using the Control XML interface to keep your account performant. There are two new automations to enable you to define which groups can be archived after a defined period of time, and also its memberships and member attributes would then be flushed. Last but not the least, for those of you using SMS and collecting outbound SMS responses from the response queue, you can now also poll the queue for inbound SMS responses. I'll now pass the ball to you, Camille, for some more information about where you can get acquainted with all of these features.
Thank you, Z. Indeed, as mentioned earlier, you can find the full update and each 18 feature on the following link that you will see and that you received in the chat. So the mapp.com product update fall 2020. In this page, you can find two new videos supporting our two major features that we are really proud of. So AMP for email and unified customer profile. And if we go to the next slide, I will introduce you the next free online training organized by our learning and training development team. That will help you to dive more into those features and gain more about the effectiveness of those features. And that will happen on the 18th of November, as I mentioned. And finally, you can find now all the release notes on our Mapp documentation page. This includes more detailed information and step-by-step guides about the different technical configurations. The link will be added to the chat shortly. And now let me hand it over to Rick again, who will introduce you our very exciting online tool called Improve Your Marketing.
Thanks, Camille. I think most of you have all received invites to join our community, and if you haven't, I highly recommend that you do. What we've done here is we've realized earlier this summer that the resilience in your digital marketing is going to be critical through this holiday season, but also for 2021. And rather than you having to spend hours trying to come up with tactics and techniques of things you could do to improve your digital marketing, we created this list of 100 tactics to help you improve your digital marketing campaigns. And not only it has the tactics, it also has expert tips by over 40 contributors that are making recommendations on each individual tactic. Also, you're able to ask questions. So if you're currently in the process of implementing Twitter cards or data capture overlays, you can actually ask a question to the community members, and our panel of experts will be able to answer you and give you some tips and pointers. And whilst we only launched this community a couple of months ago, we already have over 700 marketers registered. So I highly encourage you guys to go in there. You're able to search for the tactics. You're able to add these tactics to your wish list by clicking on this heart symbol. And then at the top right corner, you can see this selected tactics basket, where you're able to prioritize your tactics for 2021, effectively facilitating the build of your strategy for the next year. Also, all these tactics are available as a printed guide. So what we wanted to do is create a reference guide for you, so you can have on your desks perhaps even make notes and draw on them if you wanted to. And we have a limited number of these printed guides available. And if you would like to receive one of those printed guides to be delivered home, you're able to follow this link at the bottom, or I think Camille will post this in the chat soon. So you can click on this link, fill in your details, and we will post this guide to you shortly. So I'd like to thank you all for taking part in this full release webinar. And we're going to open up for Q&A now and see what questions are in the chat. But in the meanwhile, we'll keep a post-webinar survey open. This helps us kind of improve our future webinars, but also helps us improve the future product development as well. So I highly encourage you to take part in this survey and give us your feedback. So Camille, do we have any questions come through in the question panel?
Yes, we do. And actually, the first question, Stefan might be able to answer it. So is the access right limitation also available for own metrics? That's the question from Eric.
Yeah, very good question. The access rights are always related to the parameters and base metrics. So if you build up a custom metric based on let's say page impressions, or based on a certain parameter, the access would be restricted in consequence of that the user might not have access to the base metric or the parameter.
Okay, thank you, Stefan. I hope this answered the question. I have another question from Patrick, which will be to you, Rick. When I have uploaded in Mapp Engage a mailing list, in which way can I update items from this list via the API? Rick or Z might be able to answer this question.
Okay. I mean, there's multiple ways of understanding this, but if I understand, there's a list of users or contacts that have been added to the system. We have on developers.mapp.com our API documentation, which you can access. There are more than just CRUD methods available to enrich the contact profile there. There's also ways that you can enrich the contact profile through the transactions table, for example. The accompanying documentation on the fall release covers all the ways that you can enrich the contact profile via our different available interfaces, including the synchronous API, but not limited to. So maybe have a look at the fall release documentation, and that can guide you to which ones are relevant for your business cases. I hope that answers the question.
Thank you, Z. I have now another question about AMP this time from Joe. So I understand AMP is Google specific currently. Where else do you expect this to take off? Any insight on other email clients adopting it?
Yeah, there have been numerous of announcements from various email clients testing it. Outlook.com and Hotmail mentioned it. I mean, right now, I would say kind of Gmail is probably kind of the one that's mostly following the API guidelines, but don't let that stop you, right? You know, I've heard so many customers tell me before that, you know, well, we'll wait until AMP is adopted. But if you think about it, if you run a selection against your database and you realize that, you know, your database population is 40 or even 27% Gmail users, that is a big population in your database that you can engage with AMP emails. And also you could use the advantage because most consumers would have not received an AMP email yet. And when consumers open an AMP email for the first time, especially if they open it in an app, like on a phone, those messages will appear slightly differently, right? There will be a kind of a announcement notification from Gmail saying, hey, this is a new thing, this is cool, right? So it will increase the interaction within email when you send those emails. So that could be a pretty significant uplift in engagement, particularly if you're doing some kind of a Christmas or Black Friday type promotions and campaigns where an extra increase of 5% or 10% could be huge to your bottom line. So I highly encourage you start testing and creating these AMP emails, even if they're the most basic, even if you're just using the carousel or you're just using the form. Like, do it, because you will be one of the first ones to do it, and I think the consumers and recipients will be impressed.
Thank you, Rick. I think we're going a bit over time now, but if anyone has any other question, feel free to add it right now, so we will answer. And I think there is no more question, then I let you, Rick, is there anything else that we should share? I think that's all for today. So thank you very much for joining. We really hope that you enjoyed our webinar. If you have any question, again, feel free to reach out to your account manager or customer success manager. And we are looking to hear from you very soon. And we wish you all a very good evening. Thank you very much.
Thanks all. Bye.